Hi guys, and welcome to the Violent Intent Training DVD. This follows on in the Combative Principles series. What we're going to look at today is we're going to look at a very simple, very raw training drill that actually allows you to cultivate and work with violent intent. That's its primary function. The three combative principles that we're going to be looking at today particularly are aggression, specificity of targeting, and asymmetry. This actually DVD comes about in response to a question I got from somebody a couple of weeks ago. He actually asked me two questions. One was, what kind of training should I be doing? Should I be doing like MMA style training? Should I be doing patch? Should I be doing scenario drills with the suits on? I would say all of that will help, but this is more important. He also asked me, how will I know if these techniques work? And I'm going to answer that question for you later on in the DVD. That's a question I've been asked a lot in seminars and with personal training with people recently, is how do I know what you're showing me and what you're teaching me and what I'm training? How do I know it's going to work? The other thing he asked me was, what's the most common thing that people get wrong? What's the most common mistake that you experience in a street fight? And he actually asked, is it in the setup and preemptive strike phrase? And I said, no, that's not where the most common thing is. That's quite simple. If you've decided to set somebody up and deliver a preemptive strike, whatever it is, it's usually no problem. Where the problem comes, and it comes quite consistently, is when you flap. And flapping is, you've actually hit, they've not gone down, and then you start deciding what to do next. And you're either on two sides of the scale. You're either too scared and panicky, or you're too angry. So if you start flapping and you're here, you might start going for shots that aren't really there, punching them into the head. Because I'm scared, I start going, ah, fuck! He's actually changed levels as though he's going to come in for a takedown, but I'm still trying to punch him in the skull. That's no good. The other way in which you flap is you get too angry. So if you go to the same position, and even though the shot's not there, you just go, fuck you, and smash him. And between, you know, his skull and my knuckles, his skull's going to win. So that's flapping. And this drill that I'm going to show you, this violent intent training drill, not only does it allow you to access and anchor that violent intent, but it stops you from flapping and doing the wrong weapons to the wrong targets at the wrong ranges at the wrong times. It actually gets you used to using the right tools, right targets, right range, which is really important. What was the other question he asked me? The other question that was asked came down to just the application of this thing of going berserk. That's a question that's been asked a lot of times recently, and I'll address that in a moment for you. So let's look at the three combative principles first. The first combative principle is aggression, and that's psychological and it's physical. So we all know what physical aggression is. If I'm going to have a response to anything that relies on the principle of aggression, that means I need to point at my attacker with my feet, with my hips, with my shoulders, with my hands, with my eyes, with my head. I've got to actually point at the target physically, point at the target mentally. That's aggression. It's not aggressive to move backwards, it's only aggressive if you're moving forwards and causing the person pain. So a very simple and common street attack, if you just either grab me or shove me in the chest, this is the kind of thing people do when they're psyching themselves up to hit you. They start doing this. So I'll show you what the opposite of aggression would be to go, oh fucking hell mate, calm down, leave me alone, I don't want to fight with you. That's not aggressive. That's moving backwards, physically and psychologically, you know, pleading, trying to appeal to the other person's sense of reason, which, you know, if he's a thug, he's not going to have because he wants to smash you. An aggressive response physically is, as that grab comes in, is to start striking and moving forward. Whatever you can hit, whatever you can attack, say if I don't want to attack that, I go, right, I'm not going to attack that, but I'm going to attack him. So I just decide, right, whatever he does, I'm going to move forward and come inside. That's physically aggressive. My hands are moving forward, my head's moving forward, my body's moving forward. That's physically aggressive. If you go to grab me again, this is quite a you know, don't worry too much about the techniques here, because it's all a bit false and a bit dry and simulated. But physically, I'm moving forward and I'm not allowing him to put it on. Passive again would be if I allowed him to put it on and then went, oh, what martial art move will I do to get out? More aggressively is to move as he moves, and as it's coming in, that's where you fuck it up, that's where you ruin it for him, and you actually start getting inside. Psychologically, the aggression comes, grab again, because I'm not going here, and trying to get it off by playing patty cake with his hand. If you go to grab, let go again, and if you go to grab again, start again, is to be mentally aggressive and saying, you know, you've got to be like, no, the intent is, you're not fucking grabbing me. So whatever comes inside, instead of going here and then striking, you do it again, go here, and you smash into the head and you're driving him backwards. Even if he's larger than you and heavier than you, you can't drive him backwards, you can fucking drive yourself into him. If he's a really, really big guy, you can fucking get inside there and smash yourself into him. So it's mental and it's physical, that's aggression. Second thing we're going to look at is specificity of targeting. Now again, I'm going to tell you what I don't want you to do. What I see a lot of, and it comes from a couple of sort of logical, but like a false logic belief, is people doing going berserk and just slapping and flapping. The slap and flap is basically where you see guys drilling that when they're going to get into a fight, they're going to grab with one hand and go ah! And smash into the top of the guy's head with their hands. The other alternative version of this is when they're attacked, they're going to turn around and do it with both hands and go ah! And smash here. It's really shit. Now, it comes down to two things. One is the fallacious belief that the human being under pressure can only use gross motor movement and can only target generically. And what they say is you're going to be so stressed out, you're going to be so scared that all you can do is slap with your palm into the whole of the skull. Okay, well that's bullshit. We know that because fighter pilots who are in fear of their lives, because at any moment they make the wrong choice and they get fucking evaporated, not beaten up, not a bruised ego, they actually just die. They don't just sit there in the cockpit like enraged apes smashing at the fucking controls going, no! They keep flying. And you know, you want to talk about fine motor skill, there ain't anything fucking finer than that. You know, it's very, very skillful stuff. Snipers, bomb removal guys, and personal experience. You know, I've been using specific targeting in street fights since I was 18 years old. And my background at that time was a bit of jiu-jitsu, a bit of karate, a bit of aikido and ninjutsu. Not all this fucking awesome stuff that you guys get access to now. You're spoiled. That's your problem. You're fucking spoiled. So that generic targeting thing is a fallacy. The other place that it comes from, I think, is an anti-rape technique or an anti-kidnapping technique that you teach to women and children. We are two men of a similar size. If I choose to attack him, it's not going to be like he's a kid and I'm going to go, come with me kid, and I've got some lollipops for you, and then I'm going to rape you, get in the car. Or if he's a woman who's smaller than me, I target him because she is drunk and vulnerable, so that I can just like come up behind her and go, alright love, how's it going? Bam, fuck you, come with me. That shit's not going to work. The guy's 100 kilograms. So what they're doing is they're taking a strategy and putting it in a different context. When they use this as an anti-rape thing, if somebody grabs me because they're going to take me off the street and I'm a child or a woman, and I go, no, get off me, fuck you, and I start slapping and screaming and kicking him and going mental, that will work. But let's look at the key word work here. It will work to the extent that it stops the attack, because this is an attack by a coward. It's an asymmetrical attack, isn't it? He doesn't want to box with me. He's not like, yeah, come on bitch, let's box. What he's doing is he's actually trying to use me as a resource to remove me from the environment. So by kicking and screaming and showing resistance, it works in inverted fucking commas, not because me going ballistic and going ah leaves him in a broken heap on the floor, because it makes him shit himself. It's drawing attention. He's a coward. He doesn't want people seeing what he's doing. So he thinks, fuck it, I won't go for this kid, I won't go for this girl, I'll find somebody else to rape. That's why it works. So you go, yeah, well that definitely works, but it's not because it's beating him up. This is not going to beat anybody up, ever. My little hands, the small bones in my hands versus his head, my fucking hands will break. Now you'll very rarely hear me say this, because I usually just say to people, look, do what you want, train how you want, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm going to say this on this issue. To train for generic targeting is wrong. It's flatly fucking wrong. Simply wrong. It's not going to work. It's not going to have any effect whatsoever if the guy is the same sort of size as you or bigger than you. And secondly, it might piss him off. So where this guy maybe was just going to chuck me on the floor and take my wallet, if I've gone, ah, fuck you, he might be like, nah, fuck you, and now start giving me a kicking. I've revealed my intentions, I've really not inflicted any damage or any injury, and I've probably given him a reason to give me even more of a beating than he would have done otherwise. The third principle we're going to look at today is asymmetry. Symmetry is this thing, I say asymmetry and symmetry, kind of freaks people out. I got it from the asymmetric warfare group, who, what the American military were doing for a while was they were studying asymmetric warfare, but the more they studied it, the more they had to come to the conclusion that there's no such thing as symmetric warfare. There's never been a symmetrical fight. So what do you mean by that? Symmetry is what you're seeing now. You know, two guys who are around 5'9", 5'10", somewhere between the 95 to 100 kg realm, similar levels of fitness, maybe. I think probably quite a bit fitter than me, and stronger than me as well. But it's symmetrical. It's reasonably symmetrical. Now, we are two, so therefore you've got two fighters in a safe or a controlled environment, symmetrical. If we then box or do MMA by rules, then there's symmetry. That's a completely symmetrical context. Similarly with traditional martial arts, you do get the implication of symmetry. Obviously if it's combative sports and you go, what's your weight division, what's your experience, that's total symmetry. But in traditional martial arts there's implied symmetry as well, where the guy is going to come with an attack from the front and give me some sort of traditional martial arts attack. He's going to reverse punch me and I'm going to go, we're going to go one for one, tit for tat for tat. And the thing I always use as a mental mnemonic for this is the old prize fighters, the old English prize fighters, where they'd be like, right, you give me a punch, bang, and I go, oh, it's jolly good, and now I'm going to bang, and basically it's a test to see who can take the most blows. We were discussing this yesterday, weren't we, with Muay Thai. Same principle in Muay Thai. It's not really about beating the other guy up. In Muay Thai, where they clinch up, where you get most of the points, and they're going, these big knees round to the ribs that don't do anything. They don't really, I mean, they can fucking hurt if you're open and you don't see it, but it's quite easy to tense and take a knee, if you're used to it, and the crowd goes wild. So you're here and you're going, and the crowd's going, but it's not about actually beating that guy up. It's about a show, it's about a show of strength, it's about going, I can fucking, that's cultural. The Thais seem to have a similar thing to the Russians, where they want to show, I can take a fucking beating. The Thai attitude seems to be like, we might be small, but we're tough, we can take a beating. That's fine, it has its place, but not here. So don't get confused. If you start applying symmetrical models of violence to an asymmetrical context, things are going to fall apart for you. So what we're going to look at specifically today, asymmetry is context as well. Asymmetry is me deciding to beat this guy up, but instead of going, I wish to fight with you, let us fight. Instead going, alright mate, how's it going? I really wanted, building up his ego, I wanted to ask you about something, do you want to come and have a drink with me? Let me give you a meal, make sure you're nice and full, get you pissed, and then mid-conversation pick something up and just go fuck off in his head and then stamp on him. That's asymmetric. So that's a ton of my intent and force delivered to a very, very weak spot. So physically, a good example of asymmetry would be something like a kick in the balls. You know, if you go here, fuck you, into the groin, you're driving all the weight of your legs and all that power in your back and in your glutes and in your legs straight into his groin. That's a very, very physical example of an asymmetric attack. A lot of strength into a weak point. So it can be physical or it can be contextual. We're not going to deal with context today because we're just in this room and this is all we're going to look at for today. But the asymmetry here is going to be, the rule of thumb is for every attack you get in training, in a drill, I want you to re-deliver 5 attacks back with 5 times the intensity. So that will bring us back to the aggression thing. Okay, let's take a look at this drill now. It's a very, very simple drill. The objectives of the drill are to get you to anchor aggression, access aggression, but still maintain a good high level of skill. Thank you. Okay, so the actual content of the drill, the techniques that you use, is not that important as the drill itself. I'm not going to stand here and say you must do it my way. You have to use the Richard Grannon trademarked method of the actual physical techniques you use to beat somebody up. Traditional martial arts can use this drill. Anybody can use this drill. I've seen Goji Ryu guys use this all the time. The first time I was introduced to it was by my kickboxing instructor Gary Sandland, who's a Shotokan and a Goji Ryu black belt, and the Goji guys use shot placement drills all the time. I think this is the most important kind of drill that you can do because it's entirely non-symbolic. A pad is symbolic. The pad, when you strike a pad, it's meant to represent a head. When you get your gear on and you do sparring, that's meant to be symbolic of a fight. But I can fucking guarantee you, you'll never be outside the kebab shop bouncing around in a circle like this, going, yeah, come on. It doesn't fucking happen. So it's relevant. Striking the pad is entirely relevant and you must do it. Sparring is kind of relevant. The best thing about sparring, why I advocate it, is the psychology. Nothing gives you confidence like being banged and banging somebody back, that competitiveness, that aggression. It'll give you loads of confidence because you realise you're not made of glass. But when it comes to actually just delivering the street stuff, this is the drill. This is the fucking drill. It gets you into an altered state of mind. The street game is massively psychological and it's massively about managing your own emotional and psychological state. So it allows you to access aggression, deliver the right shots to the right fucking targets with the right tools at the right ranges whilst in that altered state, and it's totally non-symbolic. We don't require any pads or anything else. Basically the drill is to do exactly what you would do in a fight, but with every other element there, but with none of the speed. So the very simplest level of this drill, and this is something I get people to do on seminars, and the number of people who tell me they've never done this, it blows me away. The simplest level of the drill is to start from like kata number 1, if you will, of the street fighting syllabus, which is to stand there with your hands up going, listen mate, I don't really want to fight you, and then give them a single strike up and into the jaw. And what you're going to do for this, everybody's got to do this, you've got to do 10 reps each, let's say. You've got to have your hand up, have your partner just stand still like a bob dummy for this level of the drill, and then you're just going to drive, as you would, up and into the jaw with the right cross, and you do that over and over again. When you strike, you don't stop it. These are the things I never fucking want to see you do. Don't stop, hit him. But hit him so slowly it can't hurt him. So I'm going to hit and I'm going to penetrate through. I'm going to penetrate him for hand strikes, you want to go an inch into the target. If it's a knee strike or you're actually grabbing into the body, move him back. So this is where like martial arts gets a little bit weird and people drift off into their own imaginations and they start imagining that strikes have amazing effects that they don't really have. What I'm telling you to do is this, and I'm reminding you to push through in a way that I wouldn't have to do if we were doing a drill in MMA and I was taking double underhooks. You wouldn't have to remind me, and I wouldn't have to remind you, to push him backwards. Because without this backwards push, if I take double underhooks and I don't drive him backwards, I'm basically giving him a cuddle. That's nothing. If he wants to give me double underhooks, he has to make me step back. Otherwise, it's a nothingness drill. You've actually achieved nothing. If he doesn't cause me to move my feet, it's like when you see people doing the double leg and they forget to drive the person backwards. Same with this. If you're going to go double under, you want to push the guy backwards. Otherwise, as I say, it's just a hug. Same with the punches, elbows, knees, anything. There's nothing mystical or weird about this. You've actually got to drive in and through the target. So that when you, in real life, get into a fight, you drive in and through the target and knock the fucking guy out. That's the point of the drill. So, you choose your techniques, you apply them as you would, but the key element here is to alter your state. So that's like a first level drill. Now as I said before, you can put your own techniques in here, but please be asymmetric. So you must be delivering more violence than you are receiving at a greater level of emotional intensity into the person you're delivering them to. So I know I'm going to deliver 5 shots. So in the software of this program, this isn't a fight, nor is it a test of skills. This is a drill to develop skills and to develop violent intent. I'm going to deliver 5 shots. So in this, the software of this, we're going to imagine I've delivered the right cross, it has not worked, he's not gone down. So instead of going, oh fuck, what am I going to do now, and bouncing away from him, I'm already flowing into the next shot. So from here, I'm going to come inside, I'm going to grab round his throat, round the back of his neck, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to headbutt. Side headbutts into the jaw, and I'm going to deliver 3. 1, 2, 3. Not so hard to hurt him, but enough that I'm telling my body that I must make contact with him. So I've delivered 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've delivered a punch, 3 headbutts. I'm then going to generate space. I've come inside, I'm going to take both my hands from around the back of his head, from where I've been pulling his head down now. I'm going to drive them up and back and into his eyes. And then really, really simply, I'm either going to deliver a knee strike into the groin or into the thigh. Doesn't really matter what it is. What it matters is that it's simple and it's applied to the person with no pads, just very, very slow. Right targets, right ranges, right amount of penetration. But what you mustn't do is this. And I get this in seminars and personal training all the fucking time. Centre of gravity is really high, I'm bouncing around like a fucking nitwit, I'm giggling, I'm smiling, I'm laughing. Look, if you want to have a laugh in seminars, if you want to have a laugh in your training, that's fine, but you need to know that sometimes you need to stop fucking around. This is like Miyamoto Musashi said in the Book of Five Rings. I can give you the best information in the world, the best training in the world. If you approach it in the wrong spirit, it's totally useless. Totally useless. You've got to have the right intent. This type of training you're doing because if you don't, you might get filled in and get your head stamped on and then die, or spend the rest of your life as a fucking vegetable shitting into a nappy, eating liquefied food. Is that what you want? You've got to have the right fucking mentality to this. So have fun, but there needs to be times where you take it seriously and up the level of aggression, because when you're in a fight you will be in an altered emotional state. So when I'm going from here, I'm not nitwitting around with fucking really high centre of gravity with my back all straight, because I'm trying to drive through him. So I change state and I go, fuck you. And that's the neuro-linguistics. Should be swearing. It should be swearing. It should be fuck you. Or simply cunt, cunt, cunt. It should be really simple, monosyllabic, or Germanic words in the English language. Fuck, shit, cunt, they all come from Germany. These are the kinds of things you should be doing. Cunt, cunt, cunt. And then you smash in. Now, already, because I'm a human being, because I'm a mammal, I can feel my emotional state changing. That's totally simulated. I'm not in any danger. He's not in any danger. We're playing. It's a simulation. It's a drill. But just by doing that, go again, just by gritting my teeth and thinking, fuck you, smashing through here. I'm just activating my imagination, activating my emotions. I'm in here, I'm imagining, I'm driving through his skull, smashing his jaw off the hinges, and I'm coming out here, ripping through his eyes, driving that knee into his groin. I'm not in a happy state. I'm not going, hey. I'm not in a peaceful state. I'm not enjoying, being at the calm centre of the universe. It's anger, it's aggression, it's violent intent. Violent intent simply means having the will to do harm and to smear your sweaty forehead onto your friend's face. Sorry, mate. I always sweat when I'm doing these things. So it's about altering state. Now, we mentioned traditional martial arts before in Goju-Ryu. I vaguely remember, sorry to the Goju guys if I get this wrong, if you just stand as a bot dummy would warn me again, and they were doing things like this. Obviously this is partly, they do it to toughen this guy, but it's also to get you used to striking as well. And you might think, well, that movement and that movement is shitty, and it's not going to get you anywhere in a fight. You're right, the movement is not the most ergonomic thing I could do, for all the reasons I gave you in the Combative Principles manual. However, I put it to you that somebody who's spent time, repetition, going fuck you, smashing through here, has got a far better chance of getting through a fight and actually succeeding than somebody who's done the flappy slappy thing and going ah, but they've only ever trained it in this weakened emotional state where they're all friendly and bouncy and everything's cool and they're giggling and fucking around. One thing that the karate guys have got down is the seriousness of intent. That's what you see in the kata where they're fucking, they're not fucking around. They're actually focusing on delivering pain one way. You see the asymmetry of this. I'm doing a hell of a lot, he's doing very, very little, I'm being extremely greedy. So that traditional martial arts move, yeah, that isn't the most ergonomic thing I could do. If I wanted to knock him out, I'd fucking hit him in the jaw. But if I've done this over and over again, to the point where it is second nature to me to fucking smash through somebody's solar plexus and then smash through with my elbow in a really aggressive state, then when it actually happens in a road rage incident or outside a bar or, wherever it's happening, I might just turn around and make it work. I might fucking force it into working. Say if he puts me in a headlock, we're at the wrong range, but I'm so enraged, I'm like, fuck you, get off, and I manage to scrabble out, and then I go, fuck, ah! It might not even be the blow itself that does the damage. It might be that I'm fucking firing into him explosively that actually gives me the advantage to get away. I'm not saying go back to traditional martial arts moves. I'm saying deliver with violent intent to specific targets. Now, I'm asked about this thing of how do you download moves into your neurology? A long time ago I wrote that as a phrase because I thought it sounded cool. Downloading moves into your neurology. Can you actually do that? Yes, you can, but it's not as sexy as it sounds. The two key elements you need to download moves into your neurology are really, really simple. One is state, and the other is repetition. What kinds of moves might we want to download into our neurology? Well, there are certain moves that aren't very fucking natural, like this one. If you've never done this before, you know, don't think you can watch a DVD and you're going to go out to a bar and some guy's going to shove you and you're just going to go, oh, I saw this in a DVD. Fuck you, man, it's not happening. You've got to do hundreds, thousands of repetitions in the right state with the right kind of stimulus because it's not normal for you to do that. So you've got to be state-based and it needs repetition. That's one movement. Another movement you might want to get used to is when you get clinched. If you grab me or clinch me somehow, for untrained people, what they will tend to do is they'll tend to react symmetrically, which is they'll grab back. Because our hands, we grab stuff all the time. We're picking things up all the time. If somebody grabs you, you'll probably respond egotistically and go, oh, it's a battle of strength. And then they grab each other's clothes. That's very, very common. So they hear, oh, yes, oh. Right, what I want you to download into your neurology, or what I would suggest to you is useful, is when you're grabbed, instead of grabbing back into the other guy's clothes or whatever, is to grab his face. Is to get hold of his face, is to fucking drive into his eyes. How do you do that? It's just repetition. You have somebody grab you, and you find his eyes. And you have somebody grab you, and you find his fucking eyes again. And you do it over and over and over again. Or you simply allow yourself to be grabbed, and then after the grab, because my instinct here is actually to start grabbing him back. So you've got to retrain yourself to go, but his eyes are here, his eyes are here, his ears are here, the targets are here. You've got to train yourself to do it. But when I'm doing it, again, that's repetition, guys. I would have two personal students. I'd say do that drill, 1 for 1, 10 minutes, go. And I'll just stand there with my iPhone and set it for 10 minutes and go, carry on, again. It's boring. Well, it's not stimulating. If you're very, very used to like an ADHD type of culture where you're constantly being given new stimulation all the time, it's dull. What this encourages you to do is to go into more of a beta brainwave state, a Zen-like state. It should be enjoyable. You should, if I grab you and you find my eyes, and you grab me and I find your eyes, this is real basic combatives drill. And you do it, we do it again, so I'm going to grab you. Oh, you got me straight away, you fucker. See how efficient Reg was there? You were much more efficient. You got me as I was coming in. Same again. Oh my god, and again. It should be enjoyable, because what you can enjoy is finding the bits and pieces of how these things work. And you know, what you can start doing, if your partner does something well, you just mirror what your partner does. And you can discover stuff, but you stay within the drill. You don't start going, you do not do this, where if I go to grab you, find my eyes, and I go, yeah, but what if I grabbed you here? Then what? If you start playing the then what game, you're fucked. And you'll spend the next 45 minutes having a masturbate. And masturbation is something you should do in private, about what might happen. Fuck that noise, guys. If you want real skills where you can walk out the dojo and go, fucking hell, I've actually got something, then you have to stand there and do repetitious work and learn to enjoy it. The other thing that you shouldn't really be doing is if you go to grab me, is being too relaxed. There's different levels of intensity, and you should grade it with your training partner. If you can find a pleasantly psychotic training partner to work with, so much the better. It should be here. If he grabs me, rather than me going, I'm finding his eyes, I should be like, where are his fucking eyes? I want his eyes, I want to rip his fucking eyes out of his head. And if I'm going to grab his face, I want to try and pull his face off the bone. Fuck, and rip it off. Now, why? Because as I'm telling my neurology to do that in training, so it will be in the street or in the real world environment. So that when I am at the bar and I'm chatting and I've said, listen mate, I'm not going to fight with you, just go away, leave me alone. And he says, fuck you, and grabs me, instead of going, oh shit, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, if you get an opportunity for something, instead of dabbing at it and going, oh, I wonder if this eye gouge will work, meh, and poking at him, go, fuck you, give me your head, you cunt, I want your fucking eyes! That's the emotional state. Intensity. Fucking give me your eyeballs, you cunt. I want to take them home and stick them in a jar and keep them. It's an altered emotional state. This isn't how to be a happy, pleasant, submissive, obedient citizen training. This is how to access animal, mammalian, raw aggression. Because without that, you're fucked. You can be a technically brilliant martial artist, but you'll get your fucking ass handed to you if you can't access the rage that somebody else can. You know, you've got to be able to go to that level as well. Okay, that's it for that section. Thank you. Okay, a couple of key points, and then we're going to wrap this up, because this should be nice and simple, and rather than just watching this, you guys should be actually trying this for yourself. So, something nice and simple. If Reg does, to me, like a jab, a right cross, and then a headbutt. So, and we'll do it as in this drill. So drive through the target, bang, bang, and then fucking butts me. Right. When you're receiving this, do that again, please. Okay. Be the best training partner you can be. If we all work to be the best training partner we can be for our partners, then we all win. Because a good fucking training partner is worth its weight in gold, right? So, I can't switch off. I can't be like, oh, it's not my turn, fuck it. So you throw it, and I'm just like, You need to actually be present for the other person so that it helps him. Reason number 2 why you need to be present, go again. 1, 2, 3. Good. Is so that you get used to this. I want to feel precisely nothing about the fact that some nitwit in the street is trying to punch me or headbutt me. Emotionally, I want to feel nothing. Emotionally, go again. And this will inoculate you to the stress of being punched repeatedly and headbutt. Go again. 1, 2, and 3. Nice. So you just get used to it. So it's just like, so when some nitwit comes up to you, because you think some fucking nitwit, see the way Reg is moving, you think some nitwit in the street is going to come up to you and go, 1, 2, grab a nice clean Muay Thai grab around the head with a well-trained fucking strong hand and forearm that pulls you into a headbutt. You're fucking joking. His first punch will probably miss, and then his second punch will probably hit you up here. You're like, ah! Because that's how the fucking zombies out there, that's how they fight. They're very rare that you'll get trained fighters actually fucking having a go. It happens. Sometimes it happens, in which case, you know, you've got to do what you've got to do. But most of the time it won't be like that. But what I don't want you to have is the experience that some guys have, is that some nitwit kid either hits them with a shitty shot or hits them from behind. So if you hit me with a shit shot, and I'm so shocked, because I've not been hit since 30 years ago, when I was in a schoolyard brawl, that I'm like, oh my goodness, my face, oh, and I go into an emotional and physical shock. I want it to be like, hit me, bang, and I just walk through it and go, well, that was shit, have one back, but a better one. That should be the attitude, and this conditions you to a degree. You know, and it's no different to what they do in the kickboxing or the Muay Thai, where they stand there and they go, have one in your fucking leg, and then you do it to me, and I go, I take one in the fucking leg, and you have one in the leg, and then I take one in the leg. And it's physical, but they say it's physical, but you can't really condition a muscle to not respond to pain. It's psychological. What happens with pain is a very subjective experience. You have a certain amount of signal that's coming to your brain, but then what your brain does with that signal can be controlled, which is how people can go through operations under hypnosis without screaming and going ballistic. Final point, other than that I wanted to make, I can't remember it. So I look on my piece of paper. This is a real good one. How do I know these techniques will work? I have 2 answers to this. Number 1, you won't. You won't. I've been asked this so many times. You will not know in the way that you're using the word know that these techniques will work. Intellectually you can know, because you trust me and I've told them they will. And if I say a right cross to the jaw is going to knock somebody out, go watch a boxing match, an MMA match, and then watch some CCTV footage of idiots knocking each other out with a right cross to the jaw. That way you know, but that's not what you mean. What you're asking me, though you don't realise it clearly enough, is how can I have the experience of knowing firsthand that these techniques will work without getting into a fight? You fucking can't. There's no way of knowing in terms of your first-hand experience that gives you confidence. So at that point, you either have to say, I'm never going to really know, but this is just a hobby anyway, so it doesn't really matter, or I'm going to go out and get into loads of fights. That's your decision. My second level of the answer to that question, how will I know, is that question is going to drive you fucking mental, and it's not a good training place to come from. If you're going, yeah, but how do I know this is going to work? I don't know if this is going to work. That's a bad question to be running inside your mind. That's going to produce more insecurity and a lack of confidence. The good question is, how can I fucking hurt this guy? How can I make this fucker scream? Or even no question. You know, as you're doing the techniques, rather than questioning anything, you should be thinking, I'm going to fucking kill you. I want to kill you. I'm going to make you fucking die. That generates a different emotional state. Be very aware of your internal dialogue. It's a bit of NLP there for you. So instead, either ask a better question, which is how can I break his jaw? How can I hurt him? Or don't ask a question, just think, fuck you, I'm going to kill you. Or another good question would be like, if somebody grabs you or something, as you're moving, it's think, how fucking dare you put your hands on me, you cunt? That's a good question. How do I know this is going to work? That's not a good question in terms of getting you into the right state. So, this DVD, all about violent intent, training state, but not going ballistic and berserk and flapping with your hands and all the rest of it. Staying focused, staying nice and calm. So when we're using aggression here, we don't mean it in terms of going berserk. We don't mean it in terms of flipping your lid and going mental. The aggression is a tight, focused kind of aggression that allows you to strike into the targets with whatever the techniques happen to be, but it's in a very determined and violent state without losing control. And this is all about reps, guys. You need to do this. I know what's going to happen is somebody's going to say, but when do I do it in the training? Do it at the beginning and do it at the end, so it sandwiches everything else. So at the beginning of your training, you're accessing aggression and you're hitting good targets with the right weapons with no padding on. I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you to not get used to the experience of MMA gloves, boxing gloves, gum shield, groin guard and all the rest of it. You must walk in as you would into the street. Then you do your training, whatever happens to be, and then at the end of the class, you want this kind of neurological conditioning going on again. I say the word neurological because you're using your body as it will be used in a street fight, and you're accessing those emotions, you're using those emotions. So those emotions shouldn't, once you've done this enough, you know all that shake you get and the dry mouth and everything you get every time you get into a fight, you won't get it anymore. Because you can get aggression and you can go, here's some aggression, and now I don't need it again. Here's some aggression, and you become an expert at raising and putting that aggression down. That's it for this DVD. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.